Ferrari has done it again. For the third time in a row, the Italian manufacturer has taken overall victory at Le Mans. But this time, the winning car was an entry that has never won before. And what if I told you that the car that won was a customer Ferrari 499P? But how exactly did this iconic brand win again in France? And what does this achievement mean going forward? Well, in this video, I'll break down how Ferrari claimed victory in 2025 at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Heading into this endurance race, Ferrari was the favorite to win. After all, they had won at Le Mans in the previous years of racing here in the hypercar class. 2 years ago in 2023, Ferrari shocked the world with the 499P hypercar, winning on debut, with the number 51 car taking victory with drivers Alessandro Pierguidi, James Calado, and Antonio Giovinazzi, which gave Ferrari their first overall victory since 1965 with the iconic battle with Ford, when the 250 LM won. Then, in 2024, Ferrari won this event again, this time though with the number 50 crew of Antonio Fuoco, Miguel Molina, and Nicholas Nielsen. Now, in 2025, the car that would take Ferrari to their third victory in a row would be the number 83 Ferrari 499P. And interestingly, as I mentioned earlier, this is not a factory entry. In fact, it is classified as a privateer car from AF Corsa. And it's not even red, marking the first time in history that a Ferrari has won Le Mans overall that wasn't in the traditional red from the Italian brand. But how exactly did a customer car beat the factory cars and all the other 18 hypercar entries to win this race overall in 2025? Well, during the qualifying and hyperpole sessions, Ferrari actually didn't look as fast as they were in the last 2 years. In fact, 2 cars from the Italian marque wouldn't even make it through to the final shootout for pole. And one of those entries would be this number 83 Ferrari from Robert Kubica, Yaya Fee, and Phil Hansen, which would start 13th in the race. However, the qualification for Le Mans doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. After all, this is a 24-hour endurance race and anything can really happen. During the beginning of this race, Ferrari slowly moved towards the front of the field, but the pace seemed to be more with Porsche at the start, following Julian Andlauer's charge to first on the opening lap in the number 5 Porsche Penske. About 1.5 hours into this race, Ferrari were battling the Porsche Penske entries for the lead, and with the number 50 car now at the front, the number 83 Ferrari, which as I mentioned would go on to win, had Robert Kubica behind the wheel, and he eventually got past with a great move on the number 6 Porsche at Indianapolis into what would become second place after a Peugeot 9X8 hypercar would come into the pits. And eventually, as we reached the nighttime hours, Ferrari were sitting comfortably at the top and dominating in positions 1, 2, and 3, with the defending winners here, the number 50 car, at the front of the pack. Now, from this point onward, the battle for the win was mainly between 5 entries in the hypercar class. This included all 3 Ferraris, the number 6 Porsche Penske, and the number 8 Toyota Gazoo Racing GR010. Which was slower than the other cars, but was still in the fight. In fact, no matter where Toyota Gazoo Racing are, they seem to somehow always find themselves in the fight for the win. Considering the fact that Ferrari were leading in positions 1, 2, and 3 at one point, it was obvious that the Italian marque had the fastest car. But trouble would hit the factory entries in the form of mainly penalties. The number 50 car, which was leading, notably got a drive-through penalty, and the number 51 kept being handed multiple different penalties, which included a 20-second time penalty on their next pit. Plus, Alessandro Pierguidi spun and lost around 50 seconds. While the number 50 and 51 cars were having their share of issues, meanwhile, the number 83 customer 499P continued to run a really strong race out on track, with 0 penalties or reliability concerns up until this point. And on hour 20, the bright yellow AF Corsa 499P officially took over the lead of this race. Throughout the remainder of this race, the number 83 Ferrari was doing better than both of the factory cars, and with the number 6 Porsche seemingly not having the same pace as the 499P entries, and the number 8 Toyota encountering problems which took it out of contention for the win, the number 83 car seemed to have the best chance to win this race overall. However, we were witnessing a very similar situation to what happened last year. Just like during this year, in 2024, the number 83 Ferrari was running a really strong race in first position, and had a really good shot at winning until electrical issues prevented the car from continuing in the race, which was heartbreaking for an entry that genuinely looked in contention for the victory. But now, 1 year later, Ferrari's number 83 car was in a similar boat. But thankfully this year, no issues would hurt the number 83 car's race compared to what we saw in 2024. During this race, the stints from all three drivers, Kubica, Ye, and Hansen, were really great, and the number 83 car took advantage of the issues for the factory 499P entries, with those cars encountering problems with the engine. However, in the final stages, with the AF Corse entry still out in front, the car's main challenge for the win came from outside the team of Ferrari AF Corse, and in fact, Porsche Penske Motorsport, who had worked wonders on their strategy to get the number 6 Porsche in contention for the victory, now were the number 83 Ferrari's biggest threat for the win. The ending to this race was pretty intense, with both Ferrari and Porsche genuinely having a chance to take the win. And then the final pit stops came. Robert Kubica brought the number 83 Ferrari into the pits for the final time for a mandatory stop and got brand new tires on the 499P, while the number 6 car had stopped for only fuel, which allowed the Porsche 963 to close the gap to just 12 seconds to the Ferrari with under 30 minutes to go, which made this finish extremely intense. However, with newer tires on his Le Mans hypercar and the persistence to finally grab this amazing accomplishment, Kubica was able to hold off Kevin Estre in the Porsche behind in order for Ferrari to claim victory number 3 in a row, which allowed the number 83 Ferrari to finally win the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The bright yellow customer Ferrari performed the best out on track out of all of the 21 entries in hypercar, with legitimately zero problems for the AF Corse entry. Now, this win for Ferrari marks the first time that a privateer has won overall at Le Sarthe since 2005, when the American Champions Racing Team took victory with the number 3 Audi R8 LMP. Winning the race and standing on the top step at Le Mans for the very first time would be Robert Kubica, Ye Yaffe, and Phil Hansen. And this result was also a redemption story for Kubica and Ye. When they were former teammates with Louis Delatraz, they lost the win in LMP2 in 2021 in the final moments of the race. And by the way, those three drivers who were teammates in 2021 would all grab wins at Le Mans in 2025. As interestingly, Delatraz would also win at Le Mans as he took the Pro-Am LMP2 class win in the Spike Oreca 07 for the AO by TF Sport team. Now, this win for Ferrari marks their 12th overall victory at Le Mans since winning the event for the first time in 1949. And if the Prancing Horses win next year, they will also overtake Audi in the standings for the second most wins at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in history. Besides Ferrari's 12th overall victory, Robert Kubica also became the first Polish racer to win overall at Le Mans. And the same could be said for Ye Yaffe, who became the first Chinese racer to do so. It's also key for me to mention that this win was especially important for Robert Kubica. For those that know his story, his comeback to motorsports is legendary, and the fact that following his crash in 2011, that he was told that he may never race competitively again, to then 13 years later go on to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans overall, is just an amazing comeback. In fact, Kubica's former paddock of Formula 1 was speaking about him and his win across the weekend of the Canadian Grand Prix, which took place during the same weekend as Le Mans, with 2018 and 2019 Le Mans winner Fernando Alonso saying that Kubica was, quote, a legend of our sport, and now he's even more after winning Le Mans in his career, end quote. Speaking of Alonso, he and Kubica are now the only F1 race winners to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans overall in this century. Ferrari's win in 2025 at Le Mans also means that the 499P has become an icon of the classic French endurance race, having won this venue 3 times in a row, and now all 3 Ferraris have individually taken victory at Les Arcs, with the number 51 winning in 2023, the number 50 in 2024, and now the number 83 in 2025. But now I want to know, what are your thoughts regarding Ferrari's most recent win at the 24 Hours of Le Mans? Are you happy to see the number 83 AF Corsa crew finally winning this event? Well, let me know all your thoughts in the comments below.